You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast, where we empower women of faith to identify, acknowledge, and accept their doubts and limits and beliefs in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. It's your girl Felicia Wallace. If you cannot tell, I am not feeling good. I have gone 12 months without having any allergy things, any illnesses, none of that. And I really do think that I entered this spring season thinking I was healed. I could go outside. I could just keep my windows open in my house and let the breeze in. And no, my whole body says, sis, did you forget we've been allergy and asthmatic since we were 7? No, you're definitely going to get this whole head congestion and nasal stuff and sore throat and all of that. So I am feeling a little bit better. This is going to be a short episode because I do not want to, I don't want your ears to have to suffer to listen to me sounding like Barry White. This actually reminds me of when I first met my husband. Actually, it was during springtime. We went to a party, and you know how like when you're just like talking loud over the music, and you know how like the next day you sound like really hoarse and just like just out of it. So the next day I actually went to the Heart of the City tour with I'm aging myself, with Mary J. Blige and Jay-Z down at Verizon Center. And I remember calling him the next day and being like, hello, can I speak to Ryan? He was like, hello? I'm like, yeah, this Bunny. And he was like, I was trying to think to myself, what dude is calling me? But this is legit what I sound like when I get sick. So he always, whenever I sound like this morning, he was like, hello, could I speak to Rod? And so it just lets you know that I have a naturally probably I got more bass in my voice than probably most women. But yeah, when I get congested, this is what it sounds like. So I'm just going to, ask y'all to just bear with me for a couple of minutes as I kind of get this message out. And then, I'll let you go back to your regularly scheduled programming. So this week, I invested in myself in multiple ways in regards to my business. So as I've been on this Slaying Self-Doubt journey, I'm not going to say I wasn't taking it seriously. I definitely was taking it seriously, but I thought I could wait to do some things. And I thought that, maybe when, I'll try to figure some things out by myself, and then I'll, bring people in when I'm ready. And I think I told you all these last couple of months, I just really have been like, okay, I have everything that I need, right? I'm very clear about what it is that I'm supposed to do. But creating it in a way that I can say it clearly, and or that I what's in my head comes out so that people understand it, are two totally different things, right? And you have to know what your strengths are and what your strengths are not. And so I invested in a business coach, and I started this program, and it was really funny how it happened because a friend of mine who is my accountability partner, we were having this conversation, and I tell her about the fact that I need a business coach. She literally referred me to this woman, and I was like, I was already looking at her, and just some other things that happened through the conversation. it just really, I knew that things were just in alignment, right? But y'all know me, I still had to pray on it, make sure it was right with the Lord, because I don't want no problems. I told y'all know I've been out of order before, right? And so when I listened to a couple of her lives, and I did some research and all these things, I was like, okay, I think this is it. This is exactly what I need, because there's a lot of people out here who are business coaches who helps entrepreneurs, who help female entrepreneurs, who help Black women entrepreneurs. But everybody necessarily isn't for you, right? And I totally get that. I needed somebody who, to me, I felt like was in alignment with what the things that I needed, right? And so I would definitely tell you how that journey is going. But I was very, very happy that I selected that person, and that I made the investment, right? Because a lot of times when you are building a business, like, money is scarce, right? And you like, should I pay for a business coach, or should I pay for invest in this website, or invest in, just take a course, right? So prior to this, I was like, I could just take some digital courses and figure it out. But I think, knowing in myself, I was like, okay, I know I need something else, because I felt like I'm on the cusp of something amazing, but I need that, like, final touch. You know what I'm saying? And then the second thing, again, is another investment in myself, into the business of just getting all of the legality things together. When you are doing this, you get a lot of people who, have great intention to be able to help you, and want to be able to give you the best guidance that they have, right? And you take that information and you deal with it, and, however you feel like it, like, whatever you get, you say, oh, I'm gonna go with it, or I'm not gonna go with it. I think because at the beginning of this journey, I was very much so still slaying my own self-doubt, and really not feeling confident in what it is that God was calling me to do. There's some things I probably should have done in the beginning that I didn't necessarily do. So I feel good about doing it, because it makes me actually feel like I'm actually running a business, as opposed to, like, working, right? Like, I feel like a lot of times, like, I know right now I don't have a team. I don't have an assistant. I don't have no graphic designer, no web design. I do all of that, okay? I am the boss and the janitor, like, legit. And so when you are doing it by yourself, you're trying to do all the things, and I really had to just take inventory of, like, how I was wearing myself thin by trying to do things that I literally do not have. It's not my ministry, right? And so I think taking that time to really invest in myself, it made me feel good. Like, I ended both situations, or began both situations, with a smile on my face and feeling very, very good. So I'm proud of myself from doing some CEO shit. That's what I did this week. Okay, so that is what I am excited about, because those are big. Those are big things. So this month, we were going to talk about surrendering. And I wanted to start off with just, like, a definition of surrendering. So I went to the Googles, and when we're talking about surrender, we're not talking about, like, I guess we're not talking about, like, waving your white flag and giving up to somebody, like a person. We're talking about surrendering as it comes to God, in walking in your purpose, right? So if you've been listening to this show and you have been following me, you know that slaying self-doubt is really about people who already know, women of faith who already know what their purpose is, but their doubts and limiting beliefs are leaving them paralyzed due to procrastination, right? And that fear and that insecurity and those limited beliefs stop them from actually moving forward. And what I have learned so far on this journey is that when I do it in my will, it definitely makes things a whole lot harder. So I'm coming from a perspective of surrendering to God. So I went to the Googles, and the Googles say, to surrender in spirituality and religion means that a believer completely gives up his own will and subjects his thoughts, ideas, and deeds to the will and teachings of a higher power. Surrender is willful acceptance and yielding to a dominating force in their will. When we talk about surrendering, I love the fact that it says it's a willful acceptance, because it's a choice. Surrendering is a choice. No one is forcing you to surrender. God gives us choice. He gives us, I can't even think of the word right now, but he gives us the ability to be able to make a decision for ourselves. Like, yes, he wants us to follow him, and yes, he extends his hand, but you have a choice as to whether or not you're going to accept what it is that he's calling you to do. The same thing when it comes to your purpose. God God called me to this. I had the choice to do it or to not do it. I had the choice to be like, you know what? I heard this from the Lord, but I ain't even about to go down this aisle or down this road because I choose to do something else, right? And even when, the doubt comes up, and that's still a part of the choice, right? Because when your doubt comes up and your insecurities come up, you're choosing to give into that. And so when we talk about surrendering ourselves, our families, our business, our money, our marriages, our careers, all of those things, it's willfully relinquishing control. Earlier last year, I think, yeah, last year we talked about releasing control, and it is surrendering is just that. Like, you have to, when you know that you are walking in purpose and when you know that this is not your thing, you have to release control. And so one of the things for me that I struggled in with surrendering was my time. When I left my job, right, and even before that, when I was working, I surrendered my time to my 9 to 5. I legit was like, all my time, whether it was at work or at home, was about this job. I had to give it all of it. I would find myself in conversations with my husband where I'd be like, but they need me and I need to do this. And they literally had 24-hour access to me 7 days a week. I've said before on here that, I remember going on our honeymoon and coming back to all of these messages. Like, I couldn't reach you. I was like, cause I was out of the country and I was on my honeymoon. Like, what do you want? And they're asking me simple things like, where's this? How do we get that? This patient is calling about this. How can I help you? I can't help you being away, right? But because I had surrendered all of my energy to them, they knew that they had me. They knew that all they had to do was call and I would be right there, right? And so when I transitioned to being a full-time entrepreneur, I legit didn't have I didn't have anything to surrender my time to, right? Because there was nothing connecting me. Now, you would think initially it's like, oh, put everything into the business, do all of that. I wasn't even there yet because in the beginning I had no idea what I was doing. I was just a podcaster, and so when I didn't have any clarity of what I should really be focusing on, and when it came to my time in the beginning, I just was like, I'm going to do what I want to do, right? I'm literally going to just watch TV. I'm going to chill. I'm going to relax. I still made sure I did the podcast, but it wasn't really like focus intent. It was more like, oh, we're just going to continue sharing this story, and that's about it. And it wasn't until I really got linked up with my mentor that I realized I was going to have to surrender my time and other things that we'll talk about, this month. But initially my time to my purpose, right? Here I was now like, okay, well, I have this business, or at the time I actually didn't even have a business. I just had a podcast. I had this podcast and, this is what I want to do with it. And, she was just like, okay, well, do you have blah, 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 blah? I'm like, no, I don't have this. She's like, well, you don't have a business. You just have a podcast. Like, that's it. And I was just like, okay. And so she's like, are you willing to put the time into building this? And I'm like, well, yeah, I quit my job. I ain't got nothing but time, right? But it was like, are you really focused in on this, or is this for play, right? And then we remember I went back to this whole thing of like, well, now I need to find a job. And, because I felt like I had all this time on my hands, but I wasn't really surrendering my time to my purpose. I was still trying to figure things out because I didn't know. Like, I was willing to do the things that I knew I could do. I was willing to do the things that I knew I had the ability to do because I could see it. I could physically see, oh, I can apply to another job and do this work. I can go work at Instacart because I know how to shop and I'm comfortable with pushing a cart, right? I can go do work at urgent care and answer the phones or whatever have you. Like, I was making things up because I like, okay, I have the evidence prior to this that I could do it. And so I was relying on myself versus surrendering my time to the gifts and the purpose that God wanted me to do, right? And so right before the pandemic even happened, my mentor came to me and was like, girl, God did not tell you to leave your job to work at Instacart. And I was like, okay, I feel attacked, right in this parking lot. And I was just like, I know, but she's like, you making all these excuses, and really you're not committed to this. Your time is showing me you're not committed. You're not willing to give up the things that you're willing to do, to put the time and effort into really focusing on what you need to focus on. And so I said, you know what? You're right. I'm not even going up front. I was trying to do multiple things. Even when it came down to the time, she's like, what are your business hours? And I was like, well, because I work during the day. She's like, how are you a business and you don't even have no business hours? How are you a business? How you can't conduct business with me at 6 o'clock? That's my family time. And so once those things started to really play a part, and I really was like, okay, I got to go back. And I need to, y'all gonna hear me say this throughout this series, because this literally stuck in my head as her, something that she says often is, seek ye first the kingdom of God, right? And so she would say that all the time, just, are you seeking ye first? And so I really had to I had to surrender to seeking ye first the kingdom of God. And I laugh about it now, but whenever I would be like, okay, I'm about to, put up I'm going to create, office hours for myself. And it's just like, okay, God, this is what you're going to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. And what I noticed is that when I surrendered my time to my business, everything fell in place. When I say everything, I mean legit everything. February of 2020 is when I started doing the interviews, and when I really started focusing and writing down, like, okay, let me plan this podcast versus winging it, because every other time I was just like, oh God, what are we going to talk about today? And it was then that I was like, that's surrendering my time. I sat down and I said, okay, I want to talk about this. How can I break this down? This is something that I'm struggling with. How can I, take this thing that's happening and relate it to slaying self-doubt and where it comes up? How can I share my journey in a way that it makes sense and it's not all over the place? And when I literally took the time to surrender, when I took the time to surrender my time to my business and to my purpose, it clicked. And I was like, yes, like this all makes sense. And whenever now I get stuck in my head about something, or I'm really like, okay, this is not working the way I thought it is, I have to go back and I have to seek ye first. And so, like I said, it's a joke. It's not a joke because she was dead serious about it, but it's super funny because, the quick story, like our kids go to the same school. So it was during, one of the kids like performances. I can't even remember what it was, but literally every single person they had, she comes and seek ye first. It didn't matter what they were talking about. She just would say seek ye first. And so that's what made it so funny, but it literally was embedded in my head. And so again, I always say God is intentional about everything that he does. And I doubt it may have been a funny moment in that time, but for me, it needed to be embedded in my memory to come to him first, to surrender to him first, to willfully accept and yield to God. That is what I did. I chose to do that. If I didn't want to walk in my purpose, I would not have quit my job. Like that is the thing that I remind myself when you are asking yourself, am I truly walking my purpose? If you made a conscious decision to make a drastic change in your life to walk towards your purpose, you committed to it. And so you got to see it all the way through, or don't waste his time. Because that was the other thing. I realized I'm wasting God's time too, because if I'm not going to fully walk into my purpose, his will is going to get done. It don't have to be done by me. He could give it to somebody else. And so when I really thought about it, I was like, I wasted his time too. And I don't want to see slaying self-doubt anywhere else. I don't want to see all that he's given me, the vision that he's given me, be walked out by somebody else. So I got to start wasting my time, and I got to start wasting his time, because I told y'all before, I don't need Aaron coming to say my message. I got it, Jesus, I got it. You don't have been, no thank you, God. I'm good. Okay. Like, you don't have to tell Aaron to mind his business. I got this over here. So thank y'all so much for bearing with me and my voice. I promise you, hopefully I sound better next week. But just as a recap for today, surrendering is a choice. You chose to walk in your purpose. And in choosing to do that, you need to surrender your time to that. If you have a full-time job because you can't, walk fully in your purpose immediately, then you need to surrender some time to the side. It's not just going to happen. You have to work it. Just because God gave it to you, you still have a responsibility to it, and you have to do what it is that you need to do in order to be able to see it through if you are committed to it. So I understand that everybody isn't going to be able to put 24/7 into it. You can't just treat it like a hobby if it's really what you want. And so I'm going to tell you what my mentor tells me all the time: seek ye first the kingdom of God. Until next week, see ya. We end every episode with the serenity prayer, and it goes as follows. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self-Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.